Hey guys, welcome back to the conversation on racism. We're on the Foundation series, which is asking the question, what are the stones that we need to lay in place to build a foundation in order to fight against racism? Last time we talked about some really big things. Number one, we all have a part to play. Number two, we can't solve it all and it sucks. Number three, we should still try to solve something. And number four, that something should be the answer to the question, what is this era of humanity supposed to resolve? Now, like I said before, there are so many things that we can talk about on this issue, and I kind of just want to hit on some of the core pieces so we don't get lost in the woods. But there are two main questions I think that a person would probably have by watching the last videos. Number one, well, what is that thing that we're supposed to resolve? And then number two, what can I do? What are the practical steps? We've been talking about theory. I want to know what are some practical steps I can take. We're going to attack this with the first question. What is this era of humanity tasked to resolve? If I'm going to have a compass as to what direction I should be going in, what are we aiming at? Now, this is just my opinion, but there's something that I've noticed over the history of the civil rights movement, and it's this. We need to learn to have healthy conversations. We need to learn, in other words, how to be in relationship with each other. You know, if we were to look at the history of race and racism in this country and the fight against it, each major movement that happened, and I'm just going to split it into two. The movement of slavery and the movement of segregation did one major thing. When people were slaves and there were slave owners, there was a huge divide between people. And then slavery was abolished and we got closer. And then there was segregation, and segregation kept people separate. And then it was abolished. And now, in this era, in this generation, we are finally in the same room. It was as if our forefathers were like, here, now you guys are together and you guys can have relationship. Save one thing. We never made talking and having conversation and having relationship a focus of our endeavors. Now, can you imagine two different groups who had tension all their lives coming together in the same room only to find out they speak a different language? What would you say would be a major task for them to resolve their conflict? Would it not be learning each other's language or learning how to have a conversation? If we're being honest with ourselves, one of the main reasons why we're probably scared about sharing our journey as an African American is because we fear we're not going to be listened to. And as a person who's not African American, probably one of the reasons why you're afraid to ask how a person is doing is because you feel like they're gonna blow up on you. But the issue is, how can I heal as an African American if I can't share? And how can I change and grow and also heal as a non-African American if I can't listen and also share my experience? If we never learn how to share and how to listen, everything else becomes more difficult. If you think about it, all of the changes that we want to happen in this country require communication. But if we never learn how to do that, if we never learn how to talk and how to share, it's going to be very difficult for us to create and sustain the changes that we want. We can go and change the laws, but if people are hurting and if we've hurt people along the way, then we've actually created another problem, which we're going to see later on. And so learning how to talk and learning how to listen, learning how to have healthy conversations, I think is one thing that our era of humanity can focus on. We can focus on that. Not everybody has the ability to march. Not everybody has the ability or the freedom to go out and do certain actions that they would want to. But I do believe that the vast majority of us can share and can listen. Imagine if, as a non-African American, you could go up to someone and say, hey man, share your experience with me. And you knew that they were not going to call you a racist or look at you with disdain. I mean, imagine the peace and the tranquility of being in a relationship with someone like that. As an African American, imagine if you could go out to someone who's not black and say, hey, I feel like this person is being really racist to me, and you are actually listened to. And I'm not talking about skeptically, but someone was genuinely interested in hearing your experience and wanting to care in a genuine way. It matters what we talk about, but I think in today's world, it matters more how we talk about it. And that is going to be a focus of this channel, which is learning how to share and learning how to listen. This is a journey I want to take with you. I'm not perfect at it. I want to learn as well. And I want you to see me learn, but I want you to be on the journey with me. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that we should ignore the other holes in the boat. The boat is sinking, okay? The boat is sinking, and we got to plug up all the holes that we can. And we need different people doing different things. But I think as a main focus, as we do those different things, if as a main focus we look to learning how to share, learning how to listen, if we make that a main focus and getting better at that, I think we would be able to reduce the anger and the hurt that is going on in our world. Now, the name of this channel right now is Honest Conversations, but I think it's actually better for it to be Healthy Conversations, because that's what we're striving for. We're striving for health. We're striving to become healers of our world. The world's eyes are upon us. We are a beacon of what a free society will eventually do if left to its own devices. We have an obligation for the sake of our country and for the sake of free society in order for us to make the world a better place so that people can look back and say free society is a good society if done well. Also, as African Americans, I feel burdened. How can I stand by and do nothing when the torch has been handed off to me? You know, I've been really tired and talking with people, and I'm not tired of talking to people, but I've just been very exhausted in this journey of helping with racial reconciliation. But, you know, as I was reflecting upon that, I started thinking, wow, what an honor that the only plight that I have to worry about is being exhausted. You know, my forefathers fought, some fought and died. People walked and were hosed and dogs were sicked on them. People were lynched. And I have come to a time and a place where the vast majority of African Americans who seek to make a change in the world are not suffering those same consequences. How can I, having benefited from the pain and the suffering of others, not put my hand to the plow and to seek to change the world to be a better place? We have an obligation, we have a responsibility, a duty to carry the torch. All of us as a society, everyone has benefited from those who marched during the MLK era. We have all been handed a society, and it is up to us to steward it well and responsibly. Far be it from us, for our children and our children's children, to look back at us and ask us why. Why did you do nothing in times of crisis? Why did you leave me with this when you were given the torch in a good place and all you had to do was carry it a little bit further up the mountain? Now we have to start over. Now we have to start from a worse place. We have a calling to become healers of our world and to make the world a better place. And so the question is, what are we as an era of humanity tasked to resolve? I genuinely believe that we need to learn how to love each other, specifically how to talk and how to share. We need to learn how to have healthy conversations.